Pardon me.
I'll start
Where
with
you want
that.
us at?
Over
No, I normally sit where
ready?
you are.
Yeah, I'm ready.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tell us. Okay, please, so we know this.
Any public comment?
Where's your little director that tells you what to
I
do?
don't know, I don't have one. Where's my
We
little,
don't have
No public comment.
no public comment? Committee reports,
We got nothing.
I don't have any.
John?
John?
Drainage ditches aren't doing a heck of a lot this week.
Yeah, I noticed.
Andrew called about something she's having done out the animal shelter. I just give her permission to, she turned the bill in, so. It has something with cages out there that were, needed work done, so. Told her hire somebody to do it.
Okay.
I guess if I can go backwards, the one thing I have, and that's what I was in there talking to Aaron about, we're trying to just put the finishing touches on some language on the wind farm ordinance, and
Okay,
I'm really hoping we can have it printed up for the next study session to discuss. And
What
can get that.
area are they looking at in our county?
it's up north. isn't it?
yeah, north of Kansas.
Yeah.
So basically the western side of this
Yeah,
county to Garland.
They're calling it the Garland site
Where's
just
Garland?
because that's kind of in the middle of the area.
It's the center of the universe and it's the center of Baker County, basically.
Garland is?
Mhm.
I never heard of it.
Not really.
But Horace, guys, never-
I know where
Why the
Garland
hell do you think we elected you, see?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Somebody needs to know where we're at.
Garland, right there used to be a church there.
That's all?
Oh.
And now there's a rock pile.
Oh,
And that,
Right.
oh, hey, I know that.
I know where it
Is
is.
that rock pile on the
Yeah.
Horse Brockton Road?
I know
Yeah.
where
I
it
pass
is.
it all the time. That's Garland?
That's Garland.
That's Garland.
There's no sign.
No.
It
Well,
can't,
But,
You're
but
just supposed to
anyway,
know.
where they're actively trying to put together ground and, you know, they're in the very early stages is kind of this whole area and then wherever they can get a concentration of landowners.
it's right
will work
around
from,
Shiloh.
What?
Huh.
But anyway, we have a wind farm ordinance currently. The problem is it's outdated. The towers have gotten bigger and we're just redoing the set asides and we're not making a drastic change. And we're not really trying to be too friendly to them or necessarily try to keep them out if that's what the landowners want. It's just catching things up to 2020, you know, raising the fees and, for example, setbacks on the road. 10 years ago, most towers are 300 feet tall, now they're 600 feet tall. Well, you probably ought to have it a little farther away from the road if it's twice as tall. Just, you know, that's really all we're doing, but then you get lawyers looking at language and all of that. And
What did they pay farmers to put one of those on their land?
It's
The
a third-
landowner,
Pardon?
the landowner.
Landowner, okay, what did
Just
they
make
pay
sure
them?
you say landowner.
No,
not
okay,
farmer.
okay, what did they pay them, you know?
I'm not sure. It's a 30-year lease.
They get fair good amount of money, don't they?
It's a formula based upon what they say it will generate.
Yeah.
What if they put one in my backyard if they get
I
paid?
don't think you want one in your backyard. As Trump says, pardon, shouldn't say it, no politics about it.
Okay.
But anyway, hopefully we can have that together for the next study session because we realize this is one of those things that's been dragging on too long and it's just a matter of, it shouldn't be as
There's
complicated
one,
as
what,
it's
north of
gotten.
Newman, right,
Yeah,
north of Newman.
just north of Edgar County.
Yeah, my son's the road commissioner there. He's had lots of fun.
I
Yes.
bet so too.
They have just annihilated the roads. But he says they say they pay for everything. If it costs so much to fix a road, they just write you a check. They don't argue with you or anything.
Not like Amron.
Yeah,
I was
no,
gonna say, so how is this compared to Ameren?
It's gotta be better. But they don't, Ameren had the law on their side though.
Yep.
And the
They
windmills don't.
No,
What's the word, government takeover.
Eminent domain.
Eminent domain.
Yeah.
But
And the big issue with the wind farms is the decommissioning. Because they build them for, you know, they're planned to be good for 25 years. Well, you have to have language and obligations in there that after 25 years, they don't just walk away and have a big chunk of concrete and a big aluminum structure laying in the middle of your field.
True.
And the way they keep buying and selling the companies, you need to have something that can trace through well and bonded and all of that, so.
And so some of the other counties, the process is that they put the money in up front, and it's the county's responsibility to hold it.
Or usually a bonding agency. And I'll get your guys' input since we're talking about it and we haven't, you know, I don't think we've really discussed it that much in open session. But, there are some counties that are writing ordinances designed to keep wind farms out. I mean, they don't word it that way, but that's their purpose. And I am not a huge fan of the wind farms as far as the environmental standpoint. But the flip side is I don't feel like it's the county board's responsibility to keep them out if the landowners want them. You know, that's where I think we need a fair ordinance to where, you know, we can protect their and our interest, but I'm not sure our goal should be to try to keep them out or give away the farm and encourage them to come in either.
And my biggest concern, is those who don't get monetary gain who live out there. So that's my biggest concern.
The one that
And-
happens to live 1,501 foot away and has all the headache, yeah.
Yeah, so that's my
Exactly.
biggest concern, and there's getting to be quite a bit of scientific data on water quality issues, as well as the wind,
Water,
as well as the sound
Yeah,
and the
water,
light.
how's it affect the water? You say
Depends on how
water?
far down
Oh, I see.
they are
I see.
putting the concrete.
I see, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and there's getting to be data that there wasn't for
Yeah.
these earlier farms. So that's I don't disagree.
yeah.
If you have a big chunk of land and you can stick some out in the middle and you're the only one that is, you the landowner, are the only one that's affected, it's your problem, your business, and you can deal with it. But it's
that makes
the
sense to me,
person who
but-
doesn't have a say in the party.
Yeah, and I can show you our drafts if you want, well, I don't have them with me, but, you know, I really think that what we're looking at for the new ordinance is reasonable and it does give fair
It's
protections.
a whole lot better than it was,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But I guess, you know, I have maybe a little more background history knowledge on it,
Right,
because I'm facing it on the Vermillion, Illinois and Vermillion, Indiana side.
Yeah.
They're just really close to our house. And so I'm already going to meetings, or my family is going to meetings on both counties.
and I will also say for down the road, the way the ordinance is written, let's just use this one that they're looking for ground for now as an example. They have to pay an application fee, and then they will have to file an application with, all the detailed plans, what they're going to do exactly. And at that point, it is still up to the county board whether we issue a permit for them to go ahead or not. So, you know, we have the ordinance in place and it lists what our requirements are going to be, but it still does not give them, guarantee the right that they will be allowed to go ahead and do it. So there is one more, there is that second step before it could actually come to fruition, which, that's quite a protection for us and for the people also.
And then
Because
there's,
who knows how technology will change.
right. And am I right, in Illinois as well, there are some setbacks from towns and schools.
Yeah,
that area'd run in Newman would run in with,
It's
that would
Shiloh
be
School
all the way
District.
across, right?
It's
All
Shiloh
the
School
way
District.
across, right? Wind farms would be. 'Cause
Yeah, it would get
Newman-
very close to the ones in
That's what I'm saying,
Douglas
that's what I'm saying,
County.
Yeah, it would be.
Right now, there is already, okay, so this is my house.
Okay,
There is already one scheduled for all the way up
Right.
through here. And then it ties in over here.
Hmm.
And of course, Duke is right there.
yeah,
And the new one
would be on.
in,
the
is
side.
in Douglas County, right about where the big red Edgar is,
Right.
and that would be close in there.
What
So,
about
yeah,
up Young America, that'd be in that area too, wouldn't it?
yeah.
That's all over. Do they bring those things in a round tube,
Yeah, they,
The one going
I
through
said
Paris
I
the other
watched them, make that
Yeah,
turn
yeah.
49 on the 36. They take that stop sign out, it comes out of the ground, otherwise they just run over it. It's unbelievable. Then I watched them make that turn off 36 to where they go up the country road, and that's just a short corner. But the rear end, they can steer it differently.
Is it
Otherwise, you couldn't
in
do
a
it.
round tube?
Yeah,
One came through Paris the other day.
yeah, that's, they,
Going
got,
north.
they all
And
came the
everything's
same route.
inside.
Yeah,
They're huge,
yeah, gigantic. They had to stop traffic and what all
yeah.
to make the turn onto Route 1.
And you might find it worthwhile. The sound is not under it, so if you go, you have to keep going further out to find where the sound is. It's like some other things, the sound shoots out, so if you're under it, under this umbrella, it's pretty quiet. And if you go with the company, that's where they'll take you.
Oh, okay.
So you have to do your own research to see
Pretty
what you
sneaky.
can find.
Yeah.
And the new ones are not as loud as the old ones.
Hmm.
They're, over time, it's like anything else, they've designed them better.
And we debated on a lot of the things, even the decibel output and all of that, and for the ordinance purposes, we're going I'm trying to make sure I get the term, but basically the Illinois EPA has standards for noise pollution, light flicker, all of that, and we're going with their numbers. Which there again, if we actually issued a permit to build, we could tighten down if we felt the need, but, you have to draw the line somewhere. And yes, they do create some noise, and where you measure it is different, and those are just the numbers that we chose to use because, they're established. We're going to hope there's some reasonable scientific data behind it. There should well be.
Yeah, especially by now.
But yeah, exactly. The state of Illinois has been studying noise pollution a long time.
Okay, make sure I ask you guys first, you can have someplace to go.
That's okay. You have your August reports in front of you. Sorry, I wasn't here at the beginning of the month and our system was down, so I think Adam was able to give you kind of a quick overview, but had 170 calls for 911 in August, up from 143 last August, still under a minute response time. All of our times remain consistent. 33 emergent transfers and 21 non-emergent, 2 fire standbys, 3 deaths on scene, 24 that were treated, refused transport, or signed against medical advice. 11 mutual aid intercepts, though you can see that is up significantly, and we had talked about that last month. Marshall, we still continue to see an increase down there. They're just not able to staff any more than one truck, and when that truck goes out on a call, of course they have long transport times because they don't have a hospital in their county, so we do back them up.
Kind of backstory on that is Clark County used to have Marshall, Casey, West Union, and Martinsville, and right now the Marshall truck, so there should be 2. They've usually just been staffing 1, and then the rest of Clark County, Casey is pretty much handled, so they are definitely down on their staffing, so we're having to back them up quite a bit more.
Is that a temporary thing or a permanent?
for clerk?
Well, it's not gonna go away, but there's nothing in writing that says we have to go down there. There's a mutual aid agreement, but if we don't have any trucks available, we're not obligated to go down.
So other surrounding, like somebody else from another county or something can go down, if you're tied up?
Yeah, they have protocols in place just like we do. If we would say no, then they maybe would ask Robinson or Charleston or, you know.
Okay.
Was yesterday a busy day?
What's that?
Yesterday a busy day?
Yeah, pretty busy.
Heard a lot of them.
Steady.
Woke me up.
You're welcome. And then the second page is our 911 calls, destinations delivered. And just as a reminder, your not applicables are the ones that treated, refused transport or signed AMA. So they didn't go anywhere, so the destination is not applicable. There's a new line item on there that says Edgar County Jail, and then it says not applicable. We don't take people to jail. That's just the response to the jail. And in order for us to, there's a new policy in place at the jail. They need the medical record to prove that they sought care for somebody that was an inmate or being booked. If that inmate refused to be transported, then that record wasn't going anywhere, so they needed a copy of it to place in the inmate's file, so that's why you'll see that line item there. Not that we deliver people to the jail. Okay, any questions on the report for August? We did get a 5th ambulance Thursday. Just for you guys' knowledge, it will be replacing Medic 4, which was our spare, and our current Medic 4 spare will be turned into a mobile education lab because we are deep into our first responder course, and we have students already signing up for our November start of our EMT basic course. And so that has proven to be a pretty popular program, and we knew we needed to bolster that, so now we have a mobile education lab, which is an ambulance that is fully stocked with dummies and things so that the students can have some real life scenarios.
I'm sure that makes the training a lot easier having
It's been a goal for a while, so it's
Yeah.
finally come to fruition, and we can use it for other things, education-wise as well, but it's definitely gonna be an asset.
In the event of an emergency or a countywide disaster, the state will allow us to transport patients in it, so it's not lost as a patient transport, it just won't be licensed as a patient transport, but in the event of a disaster, we would have 5 ambulances should we need that, and should we be able to staff 5 ambulances.
a, if we need 5 ambulances, we'll take whatever we can get at that point, I think.
This is
There's a mass
supposed to be on
casualty,
new
state rules kinda go out the window.
Yeah, exactly.
But that does make 6 vehicles in the fleet altogether, so 5 ambulances and a response vehicle.
Any other
phone. Any
questions?
problem with Northern Edgar County yet, or do you know?
Problems may not be the right word, but we're doing more and more, either intercepting with them or going up there in their response area to back them up.
But they got anybody else?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
So as far as intercepting, how's that work in the winter?
It depends on the intercept. So some of the time, the medics get out and get into Christmas ambulance or into Marshall's ambulance, and we take our equipment and load it into their ambulance and continue on the transport. Sometimes, if the weather's decent, if there's just a lot of circumstances, patient's stable, it just depends on the circumstance, then they might move the patient to our ambulance. But I would say most of the time, we get into their ambulances with all of our equipment.
It kinda comes down to provider preference.
Yeah.
And patient condition.
Patient condition, yeah.
Because I know my truck's fully stocked with what I need, and I can't guarantee that getting onto another truck that it's all there, but at the same time, I'm taking a lot of my equipment with me, but it's 6 of one, half dozen the other. So, but if it's not safe to move the patient, we're obviously not gonna do it, but my personal preference is moving the patient over. So it all kinda comes down to, like I said, provider discretion and safety.
Good question. Anything else for us? All right,
Thanks.
thanks.
See you guys.
Yeah.
anything, Phil?
Nope.
Lisa?
Jeff and I met on the budget, and I have a better understanding of the beginning of it. And, in my world, I'm accounts receivable, so I just wanna get the money in. Somebody else is responsible for paying the bills. So this is not my area of expertise by any means, but, you know, I understand it, I understand how it works. I just don't understand exactly how the money gets there and what all those processes are. So, that's,
The crew.
that's what, yeah, and the whole accrual thing, I get it, I understand how accrual works, but again, that's not my world, my background, so I have a lot to learn, and so I'm gonna tag along with Jeff and we'll
You
have
could
some more
probably
meetings.
go sit down with Don and ask him about
Yeah.
that, cause he could probably answer that.
So I know
all
that you
your
and Dawn are
questions.
my main go-tos when I wanna understand.
And
something.
Jeff could help you too.
Oh, yeah,
It's not an easy deal, so he's the
No.
He's big
president.
on the budget.
yeah.
Mm.
So I guess the trade-off is I don't deal with the airport, I deal with the
I'm on
budget.
the committee, but nobody ever asked me anything,
Yeah.
Alright, you're getting
So, and I,
so.
That's a great, right?
Yeah, you're on that
So-
committee too?
No.
there was one line on it that Jeff maybe wanted to discuss, but without Carl here either, I don't know that there's much need. And that was on page 14, on buildings and grounds maintenance. Of course, you guys are all into this and I'm just catching up. But, you know, year-to-date, we've spent 213,000, and he has budgeted 90,000 for next year. But with the safety tax, is that 90 a realistic number, or can it be reduced?
Mainly, a lot of it have to do with the improvements, smart water improvements.
Well, and that's what he said too, now
Right.
you have some designated funds that you didn't have at this time
Right.
necessarily.
I think, hopefully, would be able to reduce that some.
You know, or do you leave it there as your safety net? So,
I don't know.
yeah, so that's food for thought, that was really the only line that he was,
A little concerned.
pondering.
Okay.
And then we discussed, and did he get with you? Okay. We had discussed maybe renaming the fund, where the funds are for the safety tax. It doesn't change anything, it was just verbiage. So, do you wanna add anything to that? Yeah. It was just to make it more clear.
It was,
Mine-
they said, we wouldn't be getting that money till, when was it? Oh, do you remember? Safety
It
tax.
starts coming in October.
October, yeah,
October.
sometime in October.
Yeah, back to the building and grounds maintenance, I mean, I don't care, I try not to get in his way when he starts designating money, but that number is going to be changing a lot with the smart watt, and it should be coming down, but boy, it'd be nice to leave it at 90 and for, you know, kind of a safety net, and
Yeah.
No, we
and
just,
hopefully we don't reach it. I mean, welcome to building and ground maintenance. Unfortunately, those are one of those things that if you have to pay for something, you gotta do it, whether the.
I mean, we just had a gas line at the jail. They called me last week. It ran down under the floor and it was leaking. So the
Wow.
CIPS, it's the gas line that runs to the furnace. So CIPS came and capped it off, and Paris Refrigeration called me and said they're gonna run a new 2-inch line in. But run it overhead instead of down under, just leave that one alone and run another one up to it, so while we did get away from some maintenance, like light bulbs and different things, when you got a bunch of old buildings, you still got stuff you gotta fix.
It's not gonna change.
Right.
Yeah, and into September, you need to be replacing the gas line going into the furnace.
What about the kitchen? Are they planning on fixing meals at the kitchen? The reason why you're fixing up the kitchen, or?
Yes, we'd like to be able to, my understanding is they wanna put like a convection oven in there, and then like get TV dinners or something, and you gotta serve them one hot meal a day.
But you have to go through the health department in order to get it up
Yes,
to date.
they have to meet health department
Okay.
standards, and that's, number one, you have to have a non-porous floor,
Right,
stainless steel table, 3-bay sink, those are the 3 big things. So I
which we
think,
don't have.
well, I think last time I talked to Jay and Derek, they have a stainless counter on order,
Mm.
and they're getting someone lined up to do the floor. So if they get that, and then get a 3-bay sink in there, they'll be able to, right now, all they can do is serve prepackaged stuff. I mean, you can buy
Yeah.
donuts that are in a package that they can open and eat those and things for breakfast. But if you wanna make a sandwich, you're making food, then you're gonna have to have the thing, will have to be the code before you can do that.
Did they say the fire department have to go through and check something too, that may be a problem in the kitchen?
Mhm.
Some type of venting or something?
They had said something about the fire department,
Yeah.
something was said about it, but
Yeah, I remember, I don't remember exact
Went through this
comment.
with the 4-H building, yeah.
the fire department came through. What were they,
Something about the
There have to
vent.
be, yeah, it has to be the vent, the oven for us, which that might not be the same for you,
Right.
because we have the big stove in there.
big, and we're
Yeah,
getting rid
so
of
they had to
that.
have some,
Just gas stove, yeah, that's where the big difference is.
We don't have that in.
Not a gas stove, I have electric.
Okay. That's why somebody made a comment about the fire department,
mhm.
having to inspect the kitchens.
And it was good to have them in there.
Oh, yeah.
Right. You limit your liability by
Mhm.
doing that, so, anyway, that's what's going on there, so, you know, while I wouldn't mind cutting it down some, I certainly don't wanna cut it down too much.
Well, and if you leave it there, then it, at least by year end, whatever you didn't use it, you're not that deficit.
Right,
You haven't put it somewhere else and then don't have it.
and I know we're gonna, there still is a few things to do to the old furnace at the courthouse. They have, the pipe was leaking under the floor, so they're gonna replumb it above ground, and, it's a little bit complicated, but that still needs to be done. It's gonna be a little pricey. I think it can be done for under 10,000. But we still gotta keep the boiler, I mean, on a easy winter where it's not super cold, we'll probably never fire the boiler. But if it gets really cold, you have to have that backup. The new system we put in won't handle it if it's really cold. So,
Well, it can handle it, but it's not nearly as efficient as I remember the discussion. There's quite an efficiency line.
there is an efficiency, but there comes a point where it won't,
Okay,
because it's just, there's only so much heat and cold air. Basically what it amounts to, it's a really super efficient heat pump's what it amounts to. So, anyway. So I think, yeah, I want to still leave some money in there, but maybe not as much as what we have in the past.
Are we doing any more with the roof or
That's,
something boost
it's,
the back burner?
no, it's still, yeah, it's somewhat on the back burner. We've got a grant that we're hoping to get something moved on, but, it's distributed by the state of Illinois, so,
You ever check, see if you could put a metal roof on that? Or would it be cost effective?
oh, you got it.
No, would it be cheaper?
I don't
Or
know.
Can you do it?
Well, part of it is metal.
I knew that, yeah.
It's a mixture of metal and shingles.
Yeah, just one.
Slate, metal and slate.
Right.
So,
Had something to do with historical.
it does.
well, and the slate, as I remember, was cheaper to reuse the old slate to put a metal roof on, but there are a couple sections of old asbestos shingles up there that they were talking about going to metal on.
They're gonna need to do something on that asbestos part of it, or the, not asbestos, but their, regular roof. It's right at the base of the bell tower. It's some just asphalt shingles.
Asphalt, not asbestos.
Right, when you
I
said
got the wrong
asbestos.
term, sorry.
Right. That's a,
Well,
That's a
it's
big,
us when he-
big,
that's a big
Yeah.
no.
yeah.
But anyway, that's all I got today.
How about Augie, you have any?
Need anything, Augie?
Unless you have any questions specific.
When did they start voting?
Thursday,
Thursday.
September 24th, first day for early voting.
Okay.
My wife can't vote yet. Quarantine.
And we've
How's that gonna work for you? Is there anything,
We're going to make some modifications. We're going to limit the number of people that can go into the office to vote. And, you know, you're gonna wear a mask and we'll have hand sanitizer and it,
Have to wear a mask.
well, I'm gonna strongly encourage you to wear a mask.
So
I can't make you because the law says I can't make
that's what I
you,
thought.
but
We all wish you'd wear a mask,
Yeah.
Bill.
You look better.
you anticipate having more people?
Thanks, John.
yeah, I think it'll be a big turnout.
I mean, more people voting that way versus going to the polls.
You know, it's hard to get a read on, because, well, obviously y'all got your Secretary of State letters,
Mm-hmm.
which is a separate topic for discussion, but, a lot of people are calling and asking if they can still go to their polls. And that seems to be more of what people are interested in than so much voting by mail. Now granted, that there are still some that say, when can we early vote? We love that, that's the way to do it. But I would say more than not, people want to know if their poll's going to be open, because that's what they like to do on election day. It's just what they've always done. They want to go to their poll and vote.
I've always done that, and I kind of look forward to it, and it occurred to me, I thought, well, what would happen if you came down with something?
Well, then you'd be out of luck.
I know,
Yeah.
so there's a reason why I wondered if you anticipating more people coming in, you know, I'm okay, I'll go vote now.
I think there will be a larger turnout. There's going to be a larger turnout anyway. I think a lot of that will shift to early voting. And as of Friday, we had, well, it was over 1,100 vote by mail applications. So, and in comparison to the primary, we had 100. So the vote by mail numbers are up
Considerably,
significantly, yeah,
it's gonna be heavy turnout.
yeah.
I imagine, but at least in this county, it'll be legitimate, you know, people mail in, I'd trust that, but when you get to the bigger places, I don't know how you guys can handle that.
Yeah, and while we're on the discussion, Augie, I think you and Gary did a really good job of explaining the confusion with the Secretary of State's letter in the paper.
Thank you. There's another
Yes.
letter coming, mid-October.
From Secretary of State.
What's it gonna say?
Pretty much the same thing.
Well,
See,
they're going
the
same place
issue,
then.
Can you
the
tell?
issue was, that it was in the law that was passed, they directed the Secretary of State to send out so many communications. And in doing so, they referenced the county clerk has indicated, that's basically the way they said it, has indicated to us, Secretary of State's office, that you have not turned in your vote by mail application. Well, they're using at least a 2-week lag time. So the State Board of Elections, we upload all of our vote by mail information, and the state board has it. And so 2 weeks later, people start getting their letters, and they say, well, I sent mine in. And so there's a lag time there, and that's creating a lot of confusion. But there's another correspondence coming, and there are every election authority that I've talked to, and in the email, which is 102 people, they're all commenting on this Secretary of State mess, and they're all very disappointed, upset for the confusion, the waste of time,
Waste of money.
waste of money. We went through all that when the letters first came out on Thursday, but there are some very good suggestions on what to include in the letter. Very simple. That if you've already submitted your vote by mail application, please disregard the notice. Well, that wasn't in the letter, and you can still vote early, and you can still vote on election day. We've had a lot of those calls. We spent all Thursday afternoon, all 5 of us, answering the phone. What's that all about? And you mean to tell me that we can't come up to vote, or we can't go to our polling place? No. First of all, we didn't write the letter. We had nothing to do with the letter, but we had to interpret the letter. So I think they need to do a better job of drafting the letter.
Did Jeff say anything to you about the folks at the coffee house watching people go up and down the steps because it's not clear that apparently that you have to enter through the basement?
He hasn't mentioned a
Okay,
word of
well,
that to me.
That was discussed the other night at the Republican committee meeting, and they said that they watch people come up and down the steps because they aren't aware before they go up the steps that they have to go around.
Yeah.
And asking if there could be any signage.
Yeah, that's something that, I'm not passing the buck, but the sheriff is in charge of the courthouse and the grounds.
And maybe Jeff spoke to him, I don't know.
Yeah, and so, thank you that's the first I've heard of that. So maybe we just need to get together and come up with something.
Well, and especially before people keep coming up, it's just gonna make more people irritated.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 'cause
And the-
everybody's gonna come up to that
And the
side
increase
door
in
to early
somebody
vote.
falling, the
Right.
likelihood
Yeah.
is a lot higher now.
Yeah.
Me.
So yeah, Gary, that's noteworthy. We always tell them, don't put that in the paper. We'll put that in the
Yes.
paper. That,
And has a point, Lisa, you can't tell me to keep anything out of the paper.
they always say that. Don't put that in there, dear. I'm telling you, make sure you put that in there. That, yeah, entrance into the building is restricted to the north side. And that came higher up from
Right.
the judge.
Well, and along with that they can anticipate having to go through the security check,
No.
right? 'Cause
And that is our only handicap accessible entrance.
yeah, so that's really important to share.
Yeah. They get the elevator fixed?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Did I order? Yeah, I was. I had to
It was
walk
having
up
trouble.
steps.
It was electric.
And I have learned that there is no basement in the courthouse, according to the elevator.
Right, first, second, and third.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we, on the elevator, yeah. They should have said it there.
And we ought to just take the one out and put a B.
Put the
You're right,
B there,
yeah.
yeah, would make a difference, yeah.
Well, then I'd wonder where one was.
Really?
1, 2, 3, Lisa, I think you can figure this out.
No, I stood
Yeah,
down there
we-
pushing
yeah,
one and it
I
wasn't
went-
going
I went
anywhere
well,
because
it's
in the
one, yeah.
hospital B is the
Yeah. To
basement.
help her out.
So now I know. I've been educated. I should just be glad I didn't need to know that in advance.
One B.
So I think that's all I have. But again, if you have questions, don't hesitate to ask.
As a county board member, you have the right to take your little Sharpie and put a B in parentheses next to it if you
Put
want.
B, make the one a B.
Anybody else have anything else? Nothing else?
I think we're done.
Ask
John,
for a motion to adjourn?
I'll comment first.
Oh, well,
John said he sat here, and I sat there, said, no, it's not right. I've been here for 6 years on this one spot. That's your spot. Am I right?
I don't know. All I know is I sat here because I was told to.
that's what I did.
My name is on this chair. So,
Put the little
If it
name
makes you
tag.
happy,
Nothing
you
like
can sit there,
fishing.
Dan.
that makes me happy. I like sitting next to Andy.
I go to that regional, I'm a representative on this board of the 7 counties in Charleston. I go there every 3 months and they cater you a meal. And then you listen to 6 other old people. I look at them, I think I'm the oldest, but I'm not gonna admit it. Talk about all the stuff that really is.
Well, you just go for the meal anyway.
Yeah, last time they had to put, everybody had their own little thing because of the COVID, you know,
Pedco. Derek was on Pedco, and I guess I'm gonna be on Pedco, but do you know when Pedco's gonna meet or start meeting or anything?
Bob Colvin would know.
Yeah, he would.
Keith, Francis and Associates, just call them and ask for Bob
Right.
Colvin, he'll tell you.
Well,
He'll tell you.
yeah, I know.
If you wanna bother talking to that deadbeat.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
should probably have Jeff do that.
Yeah. Me too.
Okay.
I don't know when they meet now.
I don't either,
think they do
They
too
used to meet
often.
at noon, didn't they? Or was Petco the one in the morning? Petco's,
No, I think Petco had a noon meeting.
okay. Some was in the morning and some was at noon.
I'll see some Jeff.
But yeah. That's Joe.
Ask Derek if he'll answer your calls.
Well, Marty's on there too.
Yeah.
Marty's the
Yeah,
hospital.
well, that's true.
See, that was in the morning when Marty met with us. Okay, we have a motion to,
I'll
Bud makes a
second.
motion, John
Who was
seconds
that?
it.
Bill,
Lud and who?
me.
John? Got it.
Sounds like a
We're adjourned.